The Objective News Network, time is running out for Nick Purpura. He needs all of our help right now. This is John Hnatio reporting for the Objective News Network. Welcome to our broadcast. Over the past several weeks, we've been sharing the facts with our viewers, people like you from across the country, about the terrible injustice being done by a mortgage fraud racketeering enterprise to steal the homes of innocent people across the country. We've done story after story for our viewers, people like you, about the corrupt activities of JP Morgan Chase Bank and their scam to take away the homes of former Washington Mutual Bank customers across the country. The Washington, D.C. nonprofit charitable think tank, the Institute for Complexity Management, has been keeping us here at ONN up to date on the results of their continuing investigation into the matter of an 82-year-old, totally disabled senior citizen and a twice honorably discharged veteran who served not only one, but two stints in the military, one stint in the Army and the other in the Navy. This man is Nick Purpura. He lives only on his Social Security check. His house has been specially outfitted with medical equipment by the Veterans Administration to help keep him alive. Just about, 4 months ago now, I got word of Nicholas Purpura's epic battle against the largest bank in the United States, JP Morgan Chase Bank, and its parent company, JP Morgan Chase and Company. Since that time, we have done several broadcasts on JP Morgan Chase Bank and the mortgage fraud scheme they are perpetrating against people like Nick Purpura and thousands of other Americans by blatantly counterfeiting and forging proof of mortgage ownership documents. In the United States, you cannot legally foreclose on anyone's property unless you have physical possession of the archivally preserved, original, signed, and certified documents that were rendered at the actual time of closing. This is what is meant by the term mortgage proof of ownership documentation. In the Purpura matter, JP Morgan Chase does not have proof of ownership documentation on the Purpura property. They have to foreclose on the Purpura home. And the New Jersey and federal courts know full well about it and are intentionally suppressing the evidence. Let me repeat, intentionally suppressing the evidence. So far, ICM has sent proof of the fraud to the federal courts, the state courts of New Jersey, Matthew Platkin, the Attorney General of New Jersey, the Banking and Insurance Division of New Jersey, Merrick Garland, the Attorney General of the United States, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, the Comptroller of the Currency, Christopher Wray, the Director of the FBI, and FBI Special Agent in Charge James Dennehy of the Newark FBI office, all with absolutely no response. Let me repeat that because it may be hard to believe. All with absolutely no response. Since 2006 and the collapse of WAMU, JP Morgan Chase has grown at an incredible pace, remarkable pace, by cheating and stealing its way to the unimaginable wealth of trillions of dollars. In fact, the total assets of JP Morgan Chase increased from approximately 1.35 trillion US dollars in 2006, the time of the WAMU bank collapse, to approximately 3.65 trillion US dollars as of 2022. In the meantime, JP Morgan Chase has tallied up more than $30 billion in fines related to fraudulent mortgage practices against customers. But when you're making the amounts of money JP Morgan chases, 30 billion in fines doesn't even add up to a drop in the bucket. Just yesterday, the news broke that JP Morgan Chase was forced to pay $75 million to settle a federal suit brought by the government of the U.S. Virgin Islands that the bank knowingly processed over $1 billion in transactions for Jeffrey Epstein related to his sex trafficking activity between 2003 and 2019. An indication of JP Morgan Chase Bank's willingness to do anything to make money. ICM's recent report detailing the mortgage fraud enterprise by showing us the actual evidence in the case of Nick Purpura is truly remarkable. Hard to believe, and quite frankly, further demonstrates the morally reprehensible behavior of JP Morgan Chase. By now, you must be asking yourself, how could the courts of our own country and our own government institutions, the very same institutions we all depend on, how could they have become so corrupted? And even more importantly, why aren't our leaders even lifting a single finger to fight the corruption brought forth by JP Morgan Chase Bank? Last week, the federal and state courts of New Jersey refused to even consider the friend of the court brief sent to them by the Institute for Complexity Management that proved the mortgage fraud scheme being perpetrated against Nick Purpura. JP Morgan Chase and their legal counsel suppressed the evidence of their own fraud as they went ahead and scheduled a sheriff's sale of Nick Purpura's home as quickly as they possibly could, hoping that our reporting of the corruption here at ONN would quickly wane away after their dirty deed was done and be simply forgotten. As of this evening, Nick has exactly 72 hours left as he waits for the help he has deserved over the past decade, as he was left all alone to fight the theft of his home by corrupt federal and New Jersey judges and government agencies, all of whom are working in a conspiracy with JP Morgan Chase Bank, not just against Nick Purpura in New Jersey, but you too, no matter where you live in America. Today, ICM sent this letter to the Honorable Michael Kaplan of the United States Bankruptcy Court of New Jersey in a last-ditch effort to prevent the sheriff's sale of Nick Purpura's home in Wall, New Jersey. But without intervention, he has no hope of saving his home and all that he has worked for during his entire lifetime. Now everything Nick has worked for all of his life depends on a miracle, not on justice and not on the proper administration of justice by the courts, but rather on all of us standing up and demanding that the corruption be stopped. The case of Nick Purpura is now up to us. So I'm going to ask you to please call and write to your elected leaders to let them know what's going on and tell them that your vote for them depends on preventing JP Morgan Chase from stealing the homes of our fellow Americans. Tell them to visit the Objective News Network and the ICM website to watch all of the stories we have broadcast and all of the evidence that's been gathered by the Institute for Complexity Management so that they will help Nick Purpura and do something about the corruption. It is what it is. Thanks for watching. Please tell your family, friends, colleagues, and any followers you have about us and ask them to subscribe. We will see you the next time, and God bless our dear friend Nick Purpura.